Brother polite, brother polite, brother polite. This is a very disturbing development. Family, welcome back to my channel. I just found out that Brother Polite has taken a plea deal, and people are already saying that he's been sentenced. Apparently, the plea deal consists of maybe 7 years in jail time. They're also saying that Brother Polite pled guilty earlier today, and he tried to get the Israelites removed from the courtroom for some reason. Maybe he didn't really want them to see him in his situation. Maybe he already knew that they were going to crucify him on YouTube and social media, etc. But, we should never do anything that we will have to apologize for later. We should never say anything that we will have to apologize for later. We should say what we mean, and we should mean what we say. Our actions should be consistent with our worldview, particularly the worldview that we would tell to the masses. And Polite had several opportunities to acknowledge guilt in the black community. In fact, most recently, maybe like a month ago, little over a month, people were saying that Polite already took a plea deal. When this revelation came out, Brother Polite swiftly went on all the platforms and denied these rumors, and he castigated those who were spreading these rumors that he had already acknowledged guilt. These allegations are some spurious allegations. Basically, Brother Polite is being charged with making sexual advances or being in sexual situations with a minor. And the minor happened to be the child of his girlfriend. And I'll avoid mentioning any of the graphic details of what happened and any of the evidence that persons had been outlining on social media, but this is a very significant loss for the black community. On one hand, we have an underage girl who will have to live with the stigma, who will have to live with the experiences and the trauma related to her sexual abuse. Alright, Brother Polite, who was once a very potent force in the black conscious community, has now been reduced to a child molester. And if somebody told me that when I first discovered Netta and Brother Polite, if somebody told me that in, say, 10 years, Brother Polite is going to be pleading guilty to sex with a minor or having relations with a minor, I would find that hard to believe. These brothers have been some of the key voices in the black conscious community for many years. And we can't say that what he's done hasn't been impactful on us. People around the world have been inspired to study history, to discuss history. Brother Polite has been a person who's taught entrepreneurship, how to flip your money, how to elevate and become an independent earner. Brother Polite has had courses, he's written books, he's had a natural food store, like a vegan food store. Brother Polite credits himself to have written over 100 books, I believe. But when I look at the history of Brother Polite, there were some very glaring things that, in hindsight, were some red flags. Right. One of the principal red flags that I noticed in the early outset of Brother Polite's career is that he associated himself with Malachi York. And I'm not saying anything disparaging about Malachi York, except the fact that he is now currently serving prison time for 220 counts of child abuse or child molestation. Okay, but when Brother Polite entered the Black conscious community, he made Malachi York a part of his story. Malachi York was the justification for him being an internet scholar, right? Because being a Nuwabian gave him basically a profile that he could have built upon. All right, and so he drew from brothers like Malachi York, he drew from brothers like Khalid Muhammad, he drew from many of the Black conscious scholars and created his internet persona and his debating persona, right? But when you associate yourself with someone, whether truthfully or falsely, you have to be prepared to accept what comes along with that. All right, and I don't think it's any small coincidence that both Malachi York and Brother Polite found themselves being labeled as a child predator or being labeled as a person who committed abuse of a minor. And I think just from like a metaphysical standpoint, I don't think we can ignore that in some way his attachment to Malachi York may have been his undoing. Brother Polite entered consciousness doing things like burning the Bible. I think he either shot the Bible with a gun or he burned the Bible, but he just wanted to be sensational. And many things that he did usually it would have indicated that something was being hidden. I find that many people, and I'm not saying all, but many people who claim to be atheists have skeletons in the closet. All right? I don't think people just wake up and say they don't want to believe in the Creator. Right? I believe there's a reason why some people don't want to acknowledge a moral code, because when you acknowledge a moral code, then you have to also be judged by it. But family, as I said, this is a distressing story. Brother Polite could have just admitted this a long time ago and accepted his fate. But he lied once again recently, only to now plead guilty. So in my opinion, I think the good he did, certainly it outweighs the bad. Let me just be honest. The good he did outweighs the bad, but the bad that he did is unforgivable, especially in the context of a person who supposedly has morals, who supposedly has knowledge, who supposedly has wisdom. All right, it's a permanent stain on his character. I'm a person who believes in retribution. I'm a person who believes in even being redeemed, redemption, but at the same time, we can't overlook this. All right. I hope some way, somehow, he can find some wisdom and correction out of all of this and re-emerge sometime in the future. a changed man working towards the advancement of the black community. Alright, Brother Polite got sidetracked, and this is the end result. Alright, your family, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all these dynamics. One love.